A 5-year-old girl in a pale pink winter coat walked into an older animal shelter in western Pennsylvania and signed hello to every dog she passed. Not one of them responded. Then she stopped at Kennel 14, and for the first time that morning, one dog looked at her hands instead of all the noise around him. What happened next turned an ordinary school visit into something nobody at that shelter ever forgot. Her name was Maya. She was 5 years old, small for her age, quiet, blonde, and deaf since birth. Maya had never heard a dog bark, never heard a teacher call her name across a classroom, never heard rain on a window. She had learned to say everything with her hands. She used American Sign Language for everything. When she was hungry, when she was excited, when she wanted her mother to look at something, Maya used her hands, and she used them all the time. Fast when she was excited, careful when she wanted to be understood. This interaction serves as a profound lesson in how we communicate. We often assume that spoken word is the only path to connection, but Maya lived in a world where the heart spoke through motion. That Thursday morning, Maya's kindergarten class visited Meadowview Animal Haven, an older shelter in the countryside, and the staff knew every dog by name. They knew which dogs got nervous around loud voices, which ones loved treats, which ones liked to press up against the kennel door the second someone walked by. The class had come for a small shelter visit. The kids were supposed to meet the dogs, learn a little about adoption, then go back to school and draw pictures for the shelter walls. Some of the children had been excited all week. One had brought a handwritten note for a dog. Another had already asked twice if they could take one home. The teachers kept smiling and saying no. A teacher tried to keep the line moving, and within seconds the whole hallway felt busy and loud. For most of the children, that noise was part of the fun. For Maya, it was the same silence she had always known. She could still feel some of it though. The vibration through the floor when a big dog jumped against a gate. The rush of movement when a few kids ran ahead. The way adults' mouths moved quickly when too many things were happening at once. The energy of a room she could not hear but could always feel. This teaches us that even in silence, there is a deep, resonant energy that binds us all together. But even with all of that, she heard nothing. While the other children called out to the dogs, Maya moved more slowly. She was never the child racing to the front. She stopped at the first kennel, lifted her hand, and signed hello. The dog inside barely looked at her. At the next kennel, she signed hello again. That dog barked at the crowd and spun in circles. The next one paced from side to side. The next one jumped hard against the gate. The next one pushed its nose through the wire and looked right past her toward the movement behind her. Maya kept walking, kennel after kennel, dog after dog. She introduced herself the same way. Hello, hello, hello. Her small fingers careful and clear each time. Sometimes she waited an extra second. Sometimes she tilted her head. Sometimes she tried once more, but none of them answered her hands. And Maya did not get upset. She did not pout. She did not look back for reassurance. Even at 5 years old, she was already used to a world that did not always answer her the way she spoke. Maya had already learned something many adults never learn. If the world did not understand you right away, you kept going anyway. Persistence is the quietest form of courage. A volunteer near the back of the group noticed her and started filming on her phone, not because anything dramatic had happened yet, but because Maya moved through the hallway so differently from the other children. Then she reached Kennel 14. Inside was a black and white border collie mix named Jasper. He was lean, medium-sized with alert ears, a narrow face, and bright watchful eyes. While most of the other dogs had been barking or jumping or throwing themselves against the gate, Jasper was standing still, watching. Not the hallway, not the other children. Maya, more specifically, her hands. There was something different about the way he was looking at her. Then Maya raised her hand and signed hello. Jasper's whole posture changed. He just locked onto her hands so completely that the volunteer filming lowered her phone for a second, almost like she thought she had imagined it, then raised it again. Maya looked at him for another moment. Then she signed sit. Jasper sat down right away. No spoken command, no treat, no adult prompting him, no one coaching him from the side. Just one small hand movement from a 5-year-old girl. And the dog sat like someone had finally said something he understood. The volunteer froze. A staff member farther down the hallway turned and stared. One of the teachers looked over. Then another child noticed and stopped talking halfway through a sentence. Maya stayed calm. She signed stay. Jasper stayed. Now even a few of the children had started to notice that something was different. People were suddenly paying attention to one little girl and one very still dog. Maya looked down at it, then lifted her own hand and placed it flat against the wire from the other side. For a moment, the whole hallway seemed to stop. Her small hand on one side, his paw on the other. The volunteer filming whispered for someone to get the director. And one staff member actually said, Hold on, don't move. Jasper had been at Meadowview for almost 5 months. Long enough for everyone on staff to know him, but not well enough to understand him. He was one of those dogs people described the same way every time. Sweet dog, beautiful dog, smart dog, but kind of hard to connect with. Some families liked him at first because he looked striking, then moved on quickly because he did not respond the way they expected. His file said he was healthy, calm, and well-trained. But there was one short note in the intake section that staff had never paid much attention to. Response better to visual cues. At the time, nobody thought much of it. Nothing important enough to explain why a dog kept being passed over. This is a vital lesson for us all. We often mislabel others as distant or difficult simply because we are not speaking their language. Families came in, called his name, used cheerful voices, tried sit, tried come, tried the usual baby talk people use with dogs, and Jasper often gave them very little back. Not because he was aggressive, not because he was badly trained, not because he was unfriendly. He would just watch, wait, hesitate, then turn away, and after a minute or two, people would move on to another kennel. Week after week, month after month, they thought he was ignoring them. The shelter director pulled the rest of his file and found the former owner's information. Jasper had belonged to an older deaf man from rural western Pennsylvania. He had raised Jasper from a young dog and trained him almost entirely through sign language and visual hand signals. Not just sit and stay, but everyday things too. All of it done with hands, routines, eye contact, and patience. Suddenly, everything made sense. Jasper had not been waiting for someone louder. He had been waiting for hands. The director called the former owner through relay service. His name was Arthur. He was in his late 60s and had surrendered Jasper only because his health had gotten worse, and he could no longer take care of him properly. According to the shelter notes, giving up that dog had broken his heart. He believed Jasper would be adopted quickly. Jasper was healthy, smart, beautiful, and well-trained. He had no idea Jasper was still there. And he definitely had no idea that a 5-year-old girl had just walked up to Kennel 14 and spoken to him in the language he knew best. Arthur told the director that Jasper had always watched people's hands first. That was how he had been raised. That was how he understood the world. He said if people talked too much and moved too fast, Jasper sometimes shut down. Not out of fear, just confusion. He was waiting for clear signals. The kind he knew, the kind he trusted. Maya's mother had not come to the shelter planning to adopt a dog. She was only there as a chaperone, standing near the middle of the group with another parent, half watching the children, half smiling at the chaos. But when the volunteer showed her the video, and when she looked up and saw Jasper still focused on Maya's hands, something in her face changed. She stood against that beige shelter wall with one hand over her mouth, watching her daughter communicate with a dog that understood her immediately. Not eventually. Not after training, not after explanation immediately. And for a parent, that kind of moment lands hard because she knew how many times Maya had tried to connect with people and been met with confusion. This story teaches us that belonging is found where we are truly seen, but this dog understood her in seconds. Maya turned toward her mother. Then she signed 4 simple words. "He knows what I am saying." That was the moment everything changed. The paperwork started less than an hour later. One teacher laughed in disbelief. Another parent started crying before she even realized it. The volunteer kept replaying the video over and over, and in the shelter lobby, where old chairs lined one wall and a shelf of donated towels sat in the corner, Maya sat on the floor beside Jasper and kept signing to him. She signed hello again. She signed good dog. She signed friend. She signed sit just to see it one more time. Jasper watched every movement with complete focus. He did not look confused. He did not need time. They understood each other right away. The shelter called Arthur back and told him what had happened. "Hi. This is the front desk at Meadowview Shelter. I am trying to reach Arthur about Jasper and Kennel 14. Could you relay to him that there was a little scuffle earlier and we need to talk with him? Stand by." There was a long pause before he responded. Then he asked one question. Could he come meet the little girl? 3 days later, Arthur pulled into the shelter parking lot. The staff had made sure Maya and her mother were already there. When Jasper spotted Arthur, he recognized him immediately. The dog surged forward so fast, Jasper crossed the last few feet and rose against Arthur's chest with both front paws. Then Maya stepped closer. Arthur looked up. Maya tapped his shoulder lightly to get his attention. When he turned, she lifted her hands and signed, "Hello." Arthur signed a few words to Maya, then looked down at Jasper, then back at her, and Maya signed something that made him laugh silently through tears. Later, her mother asked what she had said, and Maya signed back. "I said, I will take good care of him." That was the part nobody at Meadowview forgot. Jasper had never been broken. He had never been stubborn. He had never been the dog people thought he was. He He had simply been waiting for someone who spoke his language. And on a cold Thursday in western Pennsylvania, a little girl finally did. From that day on, staff at Meadowview told new volunteers about Jasper. Whenever they talked about how easy it is to misunderstand a dog, they told them, not every quiet dog is shut down. Not every unresponsive dog is stubborn. Sometimes the problem is not the dog at all. Sometimes the dog is waiting for someone to approach in the right way. We must learn to look past our own expectations to see the truth in others. And at Maya's house, Jasper settled in faster than anyone expected. He followed her from room to room, slept curled at the foot of her bed, watched her hands whenever she moved. And by the end of the first week, her mother said the house felt different, calmer somehow, fuller, like something missing had quietly arrived and decided to stay. Maya still signed hello to Jasper every morning, even though by then she knew he would always answer. And Jasper still looked at her the same way he had the first time at Kennel 14, steady, focused, ready. As if from the very first moment he saw her hands, he knew she was someone he could understand. It takes us a lot of work to create stories like this, but it is worth it if it touches your heart. If you would like to support us, please like the video, leave a comment, even a short one, and share it with someone else who might feel something from it.